What is up, Michael? How you doing?
Gabe, I'm doing good, brother. How are you doing?
Good, man. So, welcome everybody to the
Yeah,
first episode of Collection Wars. My
yeah.
name is Gabe,
Michael?
and this is Michael. And thank you guys for joining us today. Like I said, it will be our first show. We're going to be streaming every Saturday around the same time. If we change it, we'll let you know ahead of time. We're really excited to get this channel started, get some guests in here, and just talk Star Wars, right, Michael?
Absolutely, man. Talking Star Wars. I will tell you, however, there's a lot of people out there know I've been living on the snowy ice planet of Hoth for the last week,
That's
and
right.
so excuse my background. We've got some stuff going on to where soon I'll be in the gallery, but as of right now, we're still without water a weekend and stuff. So we're trying to it's like snowing in Malibu. It just doesn't happen here in Texas. And wow, talk about a rough week. So sorry, a little
I
bit of
bet.
greasy thing going on here. But
I
you know what? I'm
bet.
going to talk Star Wars after this week. Let's talk Star Wars. I'm happy to. Let's do it.
Yeah, no. I again, it's great that you're able to get electricity too, right? I
Oh
heard
man,
there's
yeah,
a lot.
yeah, you got that right. A weekend and no, we had a whole week with no electricity and no water, and now we're just putting big bunches of buckets taken out of the hot tub and putting in the toilets and just the little
Man.
things in life.
Well, that makes for a great first show here that we're gonna have.
Absolutely. I'm
So
ready. I'm ready.
lots of
Let's
lots
do
of
it.
stories and things. So
Absolutely, man.
yeah, so I think today we're just going to take the opportunity to kind of introduce ourselves, introduce the show, just talk about what we were really passionate about, why we ended up loving Star Wars, and just kind of introducing ourselves. I think that's the main part, so everybody gets to know what we're about, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, Gabe, why don't we start out by why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you kind of got started in the prop replicas and where it all started?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I guess my story comes from when I was a child, right? I think everybody's story is different. Everyone's love for Star Wars comes from different places. Mine came from a journey that I had as a child, because when I was growing up, I actually was born in Mexico and I grew up in Mexico. Um, everybody loves Star Wars, right? Even in other countries, and it was, obviously there were subtitled ones, and there were some that were dubbed. And I remember as a kid going to the video store, and back then it was Betamaxes.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, I'm still old enough to
Yeah, no
know
kidding.
about Betamaxes.
Yeah.
So we would go to the rental store, and every time I would go, I'd always want to rent Star Wars. And there was always two versions of Star Wars in Mexico. There was one that was dubbed, where it was like dubbed in a very in Spanish, but it's very like from Spain. So it was kind of goofy. Even watching it, dub stuff is just silly sometimes. And then there was another version with the letters, with the captions on it, with the closed captioning on it. So I'd always make my parents get the ones with the closed captioning on because I wanted to hear the movie as it was intended to be, right?
Yeah.
And as I got a little bit older, at first I would literally just watch and not understand really what's going on. I would just follow the stories. But as I got older, I learned how to read. So I would read the Spanish subtitles, and I kind of understood Star Wars a little bit better. But the funny part about that is that I used to memorize lines. And I remember this as a kid, not speaking any English. I would
How old were you?
memorize these lines.
How old were you?
I was probably, I mean, my earliest memory that I have watching Star Wars is probably around like 4 or 5. So maybe like kindergarten. I mean, just me playing with my toys and things like
Yep.
that,
Yep. Yep.
around 4 or 5. But I mean, obviously, my parents tell me, they took me to the movies to watch Return of the Jedi. So
Awesome.
I was born in between Empire Strikes Back and Jedi. So my parents, I got to go watch it. I don't remember it. Obviously, I was too little, but so that's kind of where started, right? And the toys. The
Yep.
toys is
Yeah.
kind of the second part of it, right? Because yeah, the movies are great, but I immediately got into collecting the toys, and I would always love playing with them. So fast forward, a couple years, me and my family came to the United States, right? And when we came to the United States, I didn't speak English still, right?
Wow.
And the only connection that I had with American culture and my friends from school was Star Wars. Because, obviously I had my toys, I had my t-shirts and things like that. And yeah, so that was my first introduction to kind of American culture was through Star Wars. And, as, we're in the United States, typical kind of immigrant story, right? It was single income. My dad would work. And I'll share with you guys a little picture here. So my dad would work full time, and my mom just kind of stayed home and took care of the kids. When we first came, it was just me by myself, and then my parents had a couple kids along the way. And let me find the pictures. So we're at first it was me, my mom, my dad, and then my sister came along, and then another sister came along, and then a little brother came along. So at one point there was five, six of us, five, right? Am I doing math? Mom, dad, me, and then siblings, six of us living in this 1-bedroom apartment. And because I was a little bit older by then, I was maybe like 10, 11, my parents would, sleep with my little brothers and sisters because they were little, but my room was the living room. And that's kind of where that was my room, right? Because it was a 1-bedroom apartment. But the cool thing about that is that my parents would let me decorate the living room, which is kind of crazy, right? They would let me decorate the living room however I wanted. So I would decorate it with my Star Wars stuff. So I'll share it with you really quick. So this is my
Go ahead. No, I was just going to say, so when you started, when you saw Star Wars for the first time and you were in Mexico and you weren't even really into the English, was it in Spanish? Were you watching that in Spanish, or were you just watching the actual movie and kind of reading through what was going on as a child and the adventure of it?
Yeah. So at first, my parents probably didn't want to sit there and watch it with subtitles. So I'm sure at first we would watch it dubbed.
Yeah.
And it was in Spanish, like literally, like I remember Obi-Wan Kenobi, being like, "Oh, pues Luke, es que no sé qué hacer." And like it just had a funny accent. And even C3, I specifically remember like C3PO and stuff with that funny little accent.
That's hilarious.
But I didn't like that. And it was a weird kind of I had this thing in my brain that I was like, no, like I want to hear it in English the way it's supposed to be, because I want to hear the voices. Because I would look at the posters and I would see the names of the actors and like Anthony Daniels and all that, and I was like, I want to hear them. I want to hear their voices. But anyway, so I collected the vintage figures because it was just that era. There was nothing else to collect back then. So like I said, my parents were cool enough to let me put my stuff up in the living room.
Look at that. That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's my collection initially. So that's how it first started right there.
I'm sorry to cut you off. Tell me you still have those carded figures.
I don't. And that's a whole other story about how I got rid of those.
That's fantastic. I love it.
But if you could kind of tell there, let me see if I could zoom in really quick. So you could kind of see there my initial collection. I had the R2D2 with the pop-up lightsaber, and even back then that was a big deal because it came with the coin, right? It was the Power of the Force.
Oh yeah, those are the expensive ones.
Yeah, so you could see him right there. You could see Luke with the poncho, right?
Yeah.
So that one was also rare, right? Because it was one of the extra, right after all the initial releases.
Yeah.
I got a little biker scout and a stormtrooper. And then I have the bad guy from the Ewoks cartoon right there carded.
Oh, look at that. I just noticed that. Yeah, I put my glasses.
And then you could kind of see in the background, I had some of the Topps cards just kind of hanging out there. I had a drawing that my uncle made for me. And my uncle is actually, you know what? He's the one who really got me into Star Wars. He was about 8 years older than me. So when I was little, I was maybe whatever, 4 or 5. He was already like 11 and 12. So he was really into Star Wars. So he knew how to draw, and he drew that for me, and I treasure that thing. And then you could see there my lightsaber. I had the Kenner lightsaber, and that's the one that you swing and it kind of makes a whooshing noise.
Yep, I had that thing.
And you know what? I actually recently, so that one ended up getting thrown away, over time. I recently found one. I got reconnected with this bad boy, and it's literally one of the best pieces in my collection. But
of course.
But as you could see there, like I took pride in setting up my toys, and I took pride, like I said, we're living in, humble means, we didn't have a lot of money, but I took a lot of pride in setting my figures up, and, like got my R2 and C3PO poster. So there's that. Let me see if I could show you.
Those are the memories, Gabe. That's what is just, that's the fandom of Star Wars, and what it does for us as adults looking back as when we were kids. Cause I mean, it's like, it's in time, I love it.
Look at I even hung up.
Model? That's the model.
It is the model, right?
Yeah. That's great.
And I made it seem like Luke cut it right there with the lightsaber. And then I hung this little scout trooper from the ceiling with some like rubber band type of string. So it looked like he was flying off.
You're so fortunate to have these pictures. There's a lot of viewers and a lot of fans out there just kill themselves from not, number one, maybe selling their collection or having it thrown away, or, just not having the photographs, and
I regret it still to this day, selling off all my stuff. So this is another little, I asked my mom if she could make me shelves, and my mom figured out how to make little shelves with, little cheap material. Got the little miniatures and a couple.
So that's your inspiration right there to end up your background. Wow.
it was. And
cool.
And again, that was my whole setup, right? That was the whole thing that I loved about Star Wars, besides the movies, was collecting and was, setting up my collectibles. Which again, I still take a lot of pride in the display portion of it, and I think that's a big part of it with collecting, which you understand because you have an amazing collection, right? So
thank you.
But yeah, so I mean, what got you into Star Wars, Michael?
Well, first of all, that's awesome. First off, that I didn't know, you didn't even tell me about those pictures. That's awesome.
I didn't. I wanted to surprise you on those.
You did, and that's so awesome. But hey, real quick before we go into me, did you get any little Letty figures or anything when you were in Mexico? Or
so some of those that you saw there are Lili Ledi. That's what we call them, Lili Ledi. But you know what's funny? Again, I learned from an early age, again from my uncle, that the American toys were the good ones. The Mexican toys were kind of the knockoffs and cheap ones. But what was funny is that now it's kind of in reverse, right? Those Lili Ledis are like way more expensive. I remember getting them because the back of the card was black and white. Yeah. And I remember whenever my parents would buy me one, I was like, does it have the yellow card? I want the yellow back, Mom. I don't want the black and gray, like the cardboard. So
that's crazy. A good friend of mine, John, he's donated a lot to the gallery, and he's really big into Little Lady toys, and he's got an amazing collection side of, I think it's the golly, I can't remember. Of course, he's got the Jawas with the removable cape top that comes off, and it's got I think the blaster is like from the Twin Cloud Card pilot, and then I know he's got the Boba Fett that you can remove the missile out of the back, and then another one that was really cool is the what's the, you'd think I'd know, but the vintage Return of the Jedi squid head, is it? And he's got a red robe, like kind of like the Emperor Guard, which is really cool.
Yeah. He came with the extra little clothes.
Yeah, that's awesome. But yeah, man. So I'm kind of grandpa here, Gabe, and I'm 51 years old, and like thousands and thousands of the viewers and and the collectors out there that were blessed enough at my age, and back in 1977, which was the dawn of an era of something that has never really happened.
Yeah.
And to roll back just a little bit, so right when I was 7 years old, it was just me and my mom. My mom worked at a bar, and it was kind of tough times. My mom always made sure that I had everything, but yet she had to work quite a bit. And I remember we lived in these apartment complex, and the apartment complex, there was a lot, little kids running around and everything, and I'd end up, just because I was alone quite a bit because she was working like late hours back in the day. A 7-year-old to be left,
Yeah.
at midnight. So that's not a big deal nowadays. Child protective
Yeah.
services will be there in a heartbeat. But um, so I would go and hang out with my friends and whatnot, and I heard about Star Wars, and but my mom never had time, never took me to the movies or anything, and whatnot. And the drive-ins were still going on in some of the places, but there were the cineplexes that they have now, of course. And I don't know if a lot of people know out there, but Star Wars, the initial Star Wars, like a lot of movies that come out today, they come out for a month and a half, or depending on, and it's out on DVD 2 months later. Well, Star Wars it kind of took off. It was kind of like a slow engine, right? And then it started really trickling, and a year into it, Star Wars was still playing in the movie theaters. And so it was late that I was lucky enough to have some people take me to see, yeah, the Star Wars movie. And I'll never forget, obviously, the first time that I saw it. And when I came home, I was Luke Skywalker. I mean, that was me. I'm going in on this deal. I wanted so badly to be Luke, and finally, I was able to go with some friends again, and I picked up a couple toys, and my very first action figure was an R2D2, and I was sold. You having some? Yeah, you just keep doing your thing, Gabe. You're good.
Yeah.
So,
You just keep
yeah.
telling. Keep
But
telling.
what I was going to say is, after having that R2 figure, man, I was hooked on it, and I would go to the stores, and we didn't have a lot of money either, and I think my mom started seeing, what Star Wars was doing for me, and she would surprise me and do little things, and I'll never forget, when she had a little birthday party for me with the little boy that took me. I wish, by the way, that the boy who's in the a photograph that I have, I've really tried to reach out. It was him and his parents that took me to see Star Wars, and I would love to reach out and find that guy and let him know. It seems kind of cheesy right now, but what it did for me as a a kid that was living on his own, and with my mom gone all the time, it was just I was able to, George Lucas and his everything that his crew did to put this movie together, just like so many people out there, it helped me through life. It helped me in my younger days. And I remember getting some Coke bottles and taking them up to at the time Mr. M's grocery store, or a little convenience store, and getting the little Tops Star Wars cards, and man, it was all over from there, Gabe. I just I end up just going crazy, crazy. And then, the funny thing is as I started collecting these toys. I was like on a mission, even at 8 years old and 9 years old. And I just remember every time I'd go to the mall, I'd want to get a figure, right? And, like everybody out there, right? And I just kept collecting and collecting and collecting. And the crazy thing is even at the age of 10, I remember thinking that I don't want to grow out of Star Wars. At 12, I remember thinking, I don't want to grow out of Star Wars. And this is kind of silly, but like I didn't date a lot in high school or anything. And God forbid if I was to bring a girl and when I was in high school to see my room, holy moly. A 40-year-old virgin, right?
Right.
So, but all kidding aside, so I was that guy. I just people were out partying and doing their thing on the weekends, and I was, collecting Star Wars and building models and whatnot. But I still was always afraid that I was going to grow out of it. And,
Yeah.
what's going to happen? I don't want to be just some, no offense to the people that aren't interested in what we do and have fun with, but, everyone's got their own hobbies. But this does so much, not just for me, but everybody that's watching this right now. It just Star Wars has done so much for so many people, and poor George Lucas, man, that guy he has done so much, and he's been ridiculed and he's been praised, and he just that guy needs a big break, and he's taking one.
I mean,
But
remember I was telling you that early on, right? That one of my first assignments when I came to the United States was to write a letter to one of our heroes. Remember I told you?
Yeah, tell me.
I picked George Lucas. And I was trying to find the letter, but and so I think it was maybe third grade teacher was like, "Hey, here's this book with a bunch of addresses for a bunch of celebrities. Who's your favorite one? Send them a letter and ask them for their autograph." I was like, perfect. And then George Lucas's Lucasfilm was in there, so I wrote him this letter saying, how much I read a biography. It was a little book that the library had at this little elementary school that I went to, and about George Lucas. It was his biography, and
Wow.
I wrote him a letter, handwritten him, and sent it away. Never expected anything, and I got a letter back from Lucasfilm saying, "Hey, thank you for writing us. Here's this picture. Here's this, one of the little book holder things, but no autograph because they get so many requests." But it was just such a nice. After that, the fact that they reached out to me, you know what I mean. The fact that I looked up to something he made so much, and I had some connection there. It just, for me as a kid, it was just amazing to know.
That's great stories. And it's funny because in one of my videos, I showed a couple letters that I wrote when I was like 11 and 12 years old. I sent some, and we'll maybe later in future shows, we can pull those up.
I could probably pull it up right now.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, so that's funny. Look at you go. But I was going to say that it's funny because I've got a lot of feedback from viewers saying, "Hey, I did the same thing. I sent a deal out to Lucasfilm or to Kenner, and I still kept the Kenner envelopes and all that stuff. And I'm like, hey, I want a job. I'm 12, but I'd be really good for the job. And I'd send them pictures of my room because it was Polaroids back then, the Polaroid quick deal and it's funny stuff. But yeah, man. So it's just from there, it's just taken off to,
So, Michael, yeah, no, I mean, and that's the good thing about Star Wars, right? Is that it's universal. I think it's this universal almost language and community that everybody just loves, right? And again, like me and you, right? You're in totally different part of the country than I am.
Yeah.
Polar opposites, right? But we have this one common, right? It's Star Wars, and we have more than that in common, but Star Wars is something that brings people together, and I think whenever we're able to find other people that share that love, it's just immediately there's a bond, and it could be a complete stranger that comes up to you because you're wearing a Star Wars shirt.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like, I love your Star Wars shirt, and all of a sudden you're best friends.
Yeah. The Star Wars fandom is absolutely amazing. But yeah, I'll be in Walmart down the aisle and I'll see somebody looking at a couple of the Star Wars figures, and I'll just ask them, "Hey, you a Star Wars fan?" And they're like, "Yeah, absolutely." I'm like, "Yeah, me too." And then we'll just start talking a little bit, and then I start inviting them out to my house, and then they think I'm smoking crack or something, But yeah, all in all, I mean, it's amazing the amount of, it's been great meeting you. I met a lot of the guys from the other channels and that are super awesome. The R16 guys, they were awesome people that me and you both talked to. But it's crazy. Joseph, I know in the future show, Joseph, you introduced me to, he's a doctor up in Washington, and he's not just Star Wars, but wow, me and him, he feels like, I think, somehow, some way we might be related for some, I don't know, but super cool dude. And yeah, I love meeting people like you. And I wish that everybody that's viewing that we could all just be in one room. And that's what Star Wars Celebration's about, which it's pretty crappy because, we missed it and then it got postponed then even longer, and and that's I've met a lot of people through Celebration, and then of course online. So
No, in Celebration, we definitely got. I know we've talked about some
yeah,
crazy experiences at Celebration, so we're gonna have
yeah,
to talk about that in the future. But
yeah.
I found your letter. Let me see if I can share it.
Wow, look at that. That's so cool. I didn't know you had that. Look at that.
There you go.
Something else, man. Look at
So
that. Yeah. Yeah, that I'll tell you what, I used to always run out to during this time, obviously, every 6 months or so they would have a mail away action figure, vintage action figure. So I was constantly, running out and, checking my mailbox. And when I saw that letter from them, I couldn't even believe it. It was just an amazing thing. And I just, you know and I those it's funny, because we have some certain collectibles in the collection that are worth thousands and thousands of dollars, but that little piece of paper means more. It's the little things, and I love that stuff. That's cool. That's funny. That's funny.
hey Michael, so I want to let me go back to when you were talking about your childhood,
Yep.
because you have some pictures. You have some pictures from when you're a kid, right?
You still have those pictures I sent you?
Yeah, I got them right here. I got them popped up. Here you go.
Let me see. That's crazy.
Tell us what these are.
The bowl haircut and
There you go.
oh, look at that. Hey, man, that's so cool. So listen,
Yeah.
that was the first time I was actually that. So that's at McDonald's. Yeah,
Yeah.
and for the older fellas like me, if you look, you see that of course those action figures. I still have those certain figures. I've got them, But if you guys look, and it took me a while. I never thought about it much, but when I was looking at these pictures way later in life, if you look at the packaging, if vintage, this could be a quiz. So on the big one to the left of me, I'm in the blue, and hey, so the guy on the other side with the Darth Vader shirt,
Mhm.
he's the guy that took me to see Star Wars for the first time. His name was Jimmy, and I don't know if he's alive still or where he exists, but man, I thank him so much, and that's my cousin Ricky. But yeah, so if you look next to me right there,
Mm.
that's the Death Star space station right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then right below that is the land speeder, and then that other one is, I believe, the X-wing.
Oh man.
Yeah, I
See,
still have them. Still have them.
that's what I'm talking about. Like I called my mom like a few weeks ago and I was like, "Hey mom, like how come I can't find any pictures of me when I was a kid, like opening up my presents and like, and all that?" She's like, "I'm sure there's somewhere. It just, the negatives get lost and,
Of
pictures
course,
get lost."
of course.
So what about this one? Is that from that same birthday?
No, that's actually, I'm maturing a little bit right there. Yeah, I think that's maybe a year later or so.
All right.
And yeah, that's some memories. Those were some real tough times, Gabe. Some personal things that went
Yeah.
on in my life with my mom, and things that were going around. And again, that right there, that was the stuff that, man, it almost brings tears to my eyes seeing that picture right there. And there's so much in that story right there. It's awesome. Yeah, I didn't think, that's I got maybe, it doesn't matter how much or what it is, but it was what that meant to me when I got that. I wanted that bad. I wanted that laser blaster bad, and because I was Luke Skywalker, I'm Luke, and when I got that, even though it's for the stormtrooper, man, I remember. I remember. So,
Yeah. See,
and hey, real quick, let me just tell you with that blaster.
oh, wait, we'll go
Yeah,
back.
real quick. So I was just, I knew how to ride a bike, and I wanted to, back in the day to have a job at that age. There wasn't too many places you could have a job, but I got a paper route. Okay.
Yeah.
And I would have that gun in my paper route bag. Actually, Gabe, I'm going to tell you, my wife doesn't even know this story. So
Okay.
I had that gun in my paper route bag in my newspapers, and I would go around, and the guy that I worked with, he would tell me, go and you throw these at those places and whatnot. Well, I'll never forget. I was riding my bicycle with that gun really fast, and the strap, the newspaper things went over me, and the strap got caught in the front of my tire, and it jerked me off the front of it, and I landed on my head, and it knocked me out. I was out cold, and but my gun was okay. It was okay. And I was actually okay too. I think maybe a minor concussion. That was around the time that Boba Fett was mail order. I remember getting Boba Fett and, during that little time. But yeah, I remember having that thing, and my paper route guy was like, "Hey, what is that?" And I'm like, "Oh, nothing. It's my little brother's. I didn't have a brother, but I was Luke. Don't mess with me." So,
No, that's a great story. And I mean, again, it goes back to, to the love of these things, right? And yeah, they're toys, they're collectibles, whatever, but they mean so much more. And like just the feeling that you get, like right now with you, just looking at that picture, at that toy, just brings back so many memories. And that's what it's all about, man. That's yeah.
for sure. And I know there's so many people that will watch this show and will just like and love Star Wars. They don't necessarily have to have a small collection or a big collection or whatever, but it's just, there's just so many things out there. And I look forward in our future shows, what we're going to be talking about and stuff. We've got some really cool things lined up, but yeah.
No. Some of the guests that we have lined up are exciting.
Yeah.
This first one, I was like, let's put on a guest, but no, I think this first one we got to talk about.
Okay. Yeah,
our connections and what got us into it. But you know what's funny? I got another quick little story. You just reminded me because of the paper route thing. So around maybe 10, 11 years old, I got the Chewbacca bandolier where you stick the little, you put the toys inside of the side, and they had this little box where you could put the weapons.
Yep.
Anyways, there's this antiques toy store right down the street called Time Tunnel, and it's still there. It's in San Jose, California. And I used to always go and just stare at all the vintage. Yeah, because by then they're kind of vintage, but not really. Like there wasn't. I mean, obviously there was still interest in collecting them, but not as much as right now. But I would always go and I would literally stare at this one box, which was the Droid Factory.
Oh my God, that's cool.
Third leg. Because to me, I was like, why doesn't the R2D2 come with a third leg? What is going on? So I would go to that store literally just to stare at it. And I remember having that bandolier, and I would always literally just imagine in my head, I'm like, one day and I would set up like little like light bulbs and like just like weird little booby trap things and like pretending like I was like a ninja or something. I'm gonna break into that place and I'm just gonna take the one leg, and that's all I want out of that is the leg.
Yeah, I remember taking that leg, because you can build an R2 in that little thing. And I remember setting that up with a third leg with my collection of the actual action figures too. So yeah, that was another action figure. And hey, you know what? I've been wanting to say this on all of my deals. This is to the vintage collectors out there. There's this misrepresentation of the Forlom Zuckuss. Did I tell you about that?
You're kind of telling me, yeah, a little bit.
Well, they switched them, and it's a crime to do that. Because when I see Zuckuss, it's Forlom, and when I see Forlom, it's Zuckuss, and it's been argued and why and the reasoning that they changed all that. But Forlom's always going to be the Forlom figure, the tan one, and Zuckuss is the ant looking guy, and they almost kind of look alike, anyways. But
yeah,
but yeah, that's funny stuff.
Right. So yeah, man. But again, that's why we wanted to get this show, because we want to bring people on that share the same passion and share the love for collections and I know obviously you don't have your collection in the background.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But I want to show people your collection, because I think at least just like a quick thing, because I think it's important for people to understand, kind of what we're dealing here, guys.
So while you're doing that, so some of the things that I want to be able to do and help a lot of viewers out there is, everybody knows where to get, they can go to eBay to get, vintage, toys, or, even Sideshow or Hot Toys or Gentle Giant. But when it comes to some of these rarer pieces like studio skill things and whatnot, there's, it was really tough for me when I found out, when I saw my first studio ship and did not know which way to go to do it. I want to be able to help people, which we're going to be doing soon on the show, on helping them know that, hey, if you want to get into studio scale, this is how you want to get into it. This is the type of stands that you want to use for your studio scale. There's so many things that I had to learn the hard way. And thanks to a gentleman that we're going to be introducing soon, Kurt Kuhn, who's in charge and put together Modeler Magic. He's if it wasn't for him, I was lost. But through that fantastic site, I was able to, meet artists, fantastic artists in the industry, true ILMers in my, just, a little behind the time because, they were kids, but, they're the ones that picked up the pieces of, all of the great, guys out there that did the models and stuff in the 70s, and 80s, like Lauren Peterson and Steve Golly and all those great artists and stuff. So it's really, really cool, to get into all that. So
I just want to just play a little video of your gallery really quick.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, so that's that Luke right there. I'm still working on him and his body, getting his body beefed up to where it needs.
Yeah.
He's 5'3", he's pretty small, so it was tough finding the right mannequin. And his face there, that is an amazing life cast of Luke up close. It's scary, and we can show that in the upcoming videos.
We'll get close to some of these things later. So wait, I wanted to ask you right there. See on the bottom, I noticed that you have is that the like original?
That's the original 12 backs. Yes, sir, it is. Yep. Some of them are unpunched too. It's pretty cool. Those are hard to find, but yeah, I don't have a lot. I have all of the original, the first set, the 12 backs, and then I do have a vinyl cape carded and loose. But and then I was a buddy of mine, John, that donated. I've got now a little Eddie out of the box Jawa with a removable cape, which he's one of my little prized little possessions. I love the Jawas.
Yeah. And we'll look at it right now, but you have an amazing sandcrawler too. That thing's crazy cool.
Thank you. Look at Chewy there, man. He's all heart right there. Man, I love that guy.
So and you could kind of see, I mean, you collect lots of different styles of things, right? So you have the studio scale stuff, you have life size, you have vintage, you have posters. So I want, can you tell people about this Chewy a little bit?
Absolutely. Yeah. So before I go into all the different things. So yeah, the Chewy is it was, as I know, I got together with Tom Spina, head of Regal Robot, and we collaborated a little bit on the pose and we, on what, we could have, because I wanted to really start getting into the studio. And he said, hey, let's do a Chewy. And I've seen some of the Chewies he did from Solo, and they were amazing. And that he did some releases, they were press released deals, and they were very lifelike. And he told me he had the castings of Peter Mayhew and whatnot. And he said, come up with a pose and we can put him in a pose. And I wanted him roaring at the end of Star Wars pose. And I sent him a picture of it, and then voila, there you go.
That thing's crazy cool.
And I've mentioned it in a couple of videos. What's even better than that is we premiered that thing at Celebration Chicago, and I was blessed to get Peter to sign the leather pouch. Tom was still waiting to get his signatures, and he wasn't even able to get those signatures. Mm-hmm. And Mark Hamill stepped in for the Chewy busts, and because I let Tom premiere that thing over there at Celebration. And when he did that, I said, hey, see what you could do to get him to sign it. And he goes, oh, absolutely. If he comes by here, I'll do that. And I kept coming back over to, hey, did you get a chance? And then, of course, Peter wasn't feeling well and didn't make it the first night. So the second day, all the autographs from Friday went into Saturday, and everybody was trying to get his autograph. Well, I ended up sneaking Gabe. I just walked in the back. I was really lucky, and met one of the promoters that represent him. And anyway, he was able to get me. He's like, I can get it. Go ahead and hurry up. So I'm running through Celebration. You can't. It's already packed airport, right? You can't even get through. It's like Comic-Con, right? And so I'm sitting here running through all these people to get back to my life-size Chewie. I'm like, Tom, I need the bag. I need to take. So sure enough, I take it back over there, and 30 minutes later, I got a text from the guy that I gave the bag to. And sure enough, there was Peter's signature on it. And he even gave me a coin because Peter has this special foundation set up and this special little gold coin. And he gave me that coin as well. And I mentioned it to you in the past. I did get to see Peter, very short like, and I wish I would have talked to him, but I didn't want to bother the guy, and I know he wasn't feeling real well. But unfortunately, it was, I believe, about 3 weeks later we lost him. So.
Oh, geez. So it was like
Yeah.
right at the time.
Yeah, I remember texting Tom and telling him, "Man, Peter just passed." He's like, "You're kidding." And so anyway, and then later on, I found out that Mark Hamill stepped in and signed all the Chewy bust, which was awesome. You know what I mean? And what a cool dude Tom is, right, Gabe? You know Tom real well.
Yeah, no. Tom's and what he does for the collectors community, like the collecting community and all that. Yeah. Hopefully, we'll get him on here soon.
Yeah, you know what I like about Tom, Gabe, is he hits all type of collectors. Whether you don't have to go and spend $20,000 for a Chewy. You can spend simple $60 on some of his plaques. I'm not sure exactly what the costs are, but he's got such a variety for collectors that want to purchase them. So, and he's coming out with so many. He's really stepped up in the last couple of years, man. It's like, slow down, Tom. You know what I mean? I'm trying to get all this other stuff going.
And I think one of the things that I think we have in common with him is that he's also, I think he goes back to his like the vintage figures, right? And what got him into Star Wars, what passion he had for that stuff. And that's what he translates into his companies, which is because, again, some of the stuff like the CZ3, it's a little obscure. It's like a weird character. Like, all right, it's not going to have mass appeal. But for like fans that
like you and me,
I love it, man. I love that he's taking that route. But I was going to ask you about that because again, we were talking about like Star Wars and how we're all connected in this community. Yeah, like how did that affect you? Like, obviously, we lost Carrie, we lost Peter, and Kenny Baker. We just it's been nonstop, right? Yeah. Like, how did that make you feel, right? Because I think it's just different because if some normal actor died right now, I'm like, oh man, that sucks. Like I like those movies, right? I mean, I guess I don't know if that sounds
for sure.
There's just no personal connection that I have.
Right.
Star Wars actors, like I grew up with them. They're like family members to me. So like when I hear of them passing, like it bums me out like big time.
Yeah, so that's a really good question. And it's, first off, it makes me feel old that they're all passing. But a friend of my wife's, her name was Samantha. She took the time because she knew I was a Star Wars fan, and she has this, and I'll show you guys a picture one of these days. But she hand painted. She does great artwork, and she put this black paint. It's just what do you call it? Canvas.
Yeah.
Print, and then she had painted Chewie, R2, and Carrie, Princess Leia, with a couple little flowers, and it's like real long, and then they're right over here, so it's almost like there's room to put more characters on there, and it's so sad. And like you said, it's like their family, and like Carrie Fisher, for someone that was so loved I know she knew it from the fans and whatnot, but she it's like she was lonely, and it's like she was so lost into the drugs and whatnot. But I hope that she knows that she was loved by millions of people, and I regret Gabe because she's the one person that I never met in person. She was real. This is
Yeah.
how I am. This take it like it, love it or not like it, and I just but she was married to what's his name? Simon. What was that guy from the two guys that she used to be married to? Simon and Garfunkel. What's up with that? But anyway, it's okay. Anyway, but yes, so yeah, and it just you just know, and it's been a lot. You're right. I mean, Jeremy, we lost Boba Fett, and we lost David Prowse, and sucks because I was supposed to get his autograph, and his wife sent me a personal email saying that he wasn't feeling well and he wasn't going to make it to the States, and ever since then he never went back again, So, but yeah,
Because who's left from the originals? Like, I mean, we really only got Hamill,
yeah,
Gabe, Billy D. Williams.
yeah,
We
yeah,
got Anthony Daniels.
yeah.
Um,
Anthony seems healthy as can be, doesn't he? He's I don't know,
oh
I'm
yeah,
not sure his age and all, and Mark, super cool guy. I've had a chance to meet him and whatnot, and he shakes a lot, so you can see there's something there. And
yeah,
but he's still out there doing it, and he's a very talented actor. A
yeah,
lot of he was kind of typecast, unlike Harrison.
yeah.
He
Oh yeah,
typecast as Luke, and
yeah.
who's your favorite character in Star Wars, Gabe? Do you have one?
I think Tarkin. I think Tarkin. And
Tarkin. I would have
which
never known. I would have never known.
actually, look at, I got him tattooed on me.
Oh, look at that.
I have him tattooed on my arm. It's a
That's awesome.
portrait of Tarkin.
Wow. And why Tarkin? Why can you tell me why?
Well, just because Star Wars is one love, right? But I also like other bunch of other stuff. So I like old B movies. I just like old B sci-fi, like
I do too.
yeah, what is the
Dracula or
Martin? Well, not even like the Universal ones, not those. Like the really B ones, like the Martians visit Santa Claus, and like those weird ones, right?
oh yeah, I know
Or
exactly.
like the Ed Wood ones. I love Ed Wood, and I'll
Have you
just.
seen Laser Blast?
I haven't seen Laser Blast.
Oh,
No.
you got to see Laser Blast, and the people that have seen it out there know what I'm talking about. He's got this gun, and the effects. It's funny because he didn't whoever they put this deal together, and I would love to get the little alien guys. I've looked for them. I know someone's made that blaster gun, but in this movie, Star Wars had already been released, right? And then Star Wars is Star Wars, right? It's the real deal. You know what I mean? And then when Laser Blast came out, it was like you're talking about, Gabe. It was those little B movies, and there's a scene where he's in this old Chevy van, got hit. He's hitchhiking and he's turning into this alien with this big laser gun sticking out of the van, and he's driving down the road, and there's this big Star Wars billboard. And Lucas probably had to laugh about it. You know what I mean? But anyway, he just shoots and blows that Star Wars sign to nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I gotta check it out.
Yeah, it's Laser Blast, and I have it. You can find it on eBay, but it is the easiest thing. But back when I first saw it, like you, probably why you like some of that stuff, it was pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, and again, that's where my I guess love. I don't know what other word to use, but for those old movies and for Peter Cushing, because those old B movies, the old Hammer films,
Yep.
I used to love those Hammer films. So Peter Cushing, Christopher Lee, Vincent Price, right? They're always casted in those movies, either Dracula or Dr. Frankenstein or something, right? Some monster.
Yeah.
So yeah, what else do you collect? Do you collect anything else, Michael, besides
So starting from where I first started, so I'm definitely my love, like a lot of people my age, obviously, is the initial vintage collection, and there's so many things in that. Do you collect just the figures? Do you put them carded, not carded? Do you like them loose, or do you want them all in the box? But I like my loose vintage collection. But then, obviously we've got the studio scale, which I'm going crazy on right now. The Of course, Gentle Giant, the Sideshow Hot Toys, um, of course, the life size that you're familiar with. And, right now we're working on, it's awesome. I just got the measurements. I didn't even tell you, Gabe, but we're doing a life size probe droid right now, which is absolutely turning out fantastic. And we're doing a new addition to the house because, I'm going to have to build a base around this life size probe droid. You know what I mean? So, yeah. So there's, the Gentle Giant. I've been going crazy lately with the. I did a video recently on the Gentle Giant jumbo figures,
Yeah.
which they have a lot of videos out there, but they don't have them showing the collection of, what's the variants that are out there. And I was able to put that out there, and I've got a lot of good feedback on. Thank you. Some of them are even like, man, I sold a few, but I'm getting back into it now. But now I'm going crazy with the Gentle Giant mini bust. And they're not cheap. It's like if I could have just got them way back when. But and of course I have all of the Topps cards, all the original Star Wars, Empire, Return of the Jedi ones.
What about non-Star Wars? Do you collect?
I do. Yeah, that's good. So non-Star Wars, I'm really big into. Not like Star Wars, obviously, but in my theater room, I've got a big collection of Terminator. Yeah, so Terminator.
Or you just do you like specific movies?
Yeah. No, I'm old school. I like the original, like Terminator. Ones, and it's kind of cheesy, but I'm into $6 Million Man. I've got almost a collection of $6 Million Man collection. And of course the Kenner Indiana Jones figures, just the vintage, not the newer ones. And that one's almost complete. But when it comes to toys,
too many of those, right? There's not too many of those Indiana Jones figures, right?
No, so it's not hard to get a complete collection, but it's expensive, But like an Indiana Jones figure, just Indiana Jones. I mean, you can get lucky and find them cheaper, but the average loose Indiana Jones figure is over $400, with the gun and the whip,
Yeah.
So, but the little Mummy's Tomb, I love that thing.
So you got Terminator, you like that franchise. You do $6 Million Man, which I love, and me and you, we talked about this, right?
Yeah, I love
we talked about how how there's that connection with Star Wars, because the original land speeder, right, the one that they used for some of the faraway shots, they actually had a little $6 Million Man as
hang on.
Oh, yeah, let's see it. I love it.
So this just came in today.
No,
this is the astronaut guy.
Oh, man,
he's pretty cool.
And what is it? You could
so this version came out with this suit and this helmet, and then they had a later version that has the closed helmet. But this one I got because the suit was in pretty good shape. It still has the little, his little emblem on there and whatnot, and how you'd work these things. And these things are definitely taller than the 12-inch, like the Hot Toys and whatnot. And they're pretty stiff. They're not real mobile, and they're hard plastic. But you would turn his head to the right, and then you hit this little thing, and you see his arms start going up. And then you turn his head, and then you can just make it drop.
Yeah, because there's a version that you could roll up his skin, right? His little skin. So it's hard to find them with nice, intact.
That's right. Yeah, it's usually all deteriorated. There's a lot of people in the UK that make some repro skin and whatnot, because I can tell you there's not going to be many out there, even new in a package. If you were able to open up, it's going to be deteriorated because of the material. Like a lot of the old elusive concept Yoda deals.
They're all kind of deteriorated.
I don't know if you remember Elusive Concepts did a Rancor. I had that Rancor, and it
was the Han Solo and Carbonite, the Rancor, the Yoda, and then I think that's it, right? Those are there might have been something else. But
cool. You've never even talked about that, but yeah, man, that Rancor, he just started, and by the end, I mean, his arms, and he was over, and all the white foam. It was just the material, and it's just and that's what happened to actually, the initial, Yodas and whatnot, the people that have in their private collections right now, they're just sitting there deteriorating. And that's what Tom does, right, Gabe? Tom? He'll do a lot of revitalizing.
Yeah, they redo like I've seen a lot of Gremlins, how because they're all foam latex, so it just kind of crumbles apart. And and I know they reworked the Rancor. They got to work on the actual Rancor puppet, which had some deterioration like that too, which they were able to work with. And they were able to take a 3D scan of that. So that's why that Rancor, I mean, I'm excited for it.
You're excited about the Rancor. So let's just, since we're talking Rancor, I know we kind of jumped, and this is just because we're so talking Star Wars. But so the Rancor, you decided you went, you had initially done a pre-order of the sideshow, and then you decided to hold off and cancel that order, correct? And then you went ahead and went with Tom's.
Yeah. And again, I think for me, the important, I mean, because I think the sideshow one looks cool, absolutely, and it's impressive. It's huge.
It's still available, of course.
Yeah,
Tom sold out in like a day.
Oh yeah. Tom only released 83 of them.
Yeah. Why just 83?
1983, the year.
Yeah, that's smart. Good job, Tom.
So that one sold out really quick, and again, I think for me, lineage, right? It's that connection to history, that connection to to the original prop. To me, means more to me than the look of it.
Yeah.
But besides that, I was gonna tell you too, because so the $6 million man, I eventually have to get one. Like I have to get him, because have I shown you my other collections? Like,
no, yeah, that was gonna be my next question, because I know you're into a couple things. Like I know you had mentioned Back to the Future to me one time, and
right. So Back to the Future, I collect Back to the Future like prop replicas. I don't have any real screen use props of Back to the Future. I've been holding off on them, just waiting for the right piece. Like I have like Indiana Jones prop replicas, and then I have my vintage stuff. A lot of them I just keep the ones that are more meaningful to me.
Yeah,
I have a couple of GI Joes that
that's cool.
They were my favorite. Just two of my vintage figures, my R2 and C3PO, the only ones that survived. Like Thundercats, because I grew up in the 80s, so like those cartoons like Thundercats, Ninja Turtles, things like that. I have them framed up, have them all up there. And then as far as vintage figures, I have the Secret Wars, the ones from the 80s. It was like Spider-Man, Wolverine, all that. The superpower ones. I was trying to get them all right now. The ones where you'd push the little legs and their little arms would move.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll get someone on, with some of these other collectibles.
Oh, for sure, absolutely, yeah. Even though we're our specialty is Star Wars, we've got a lot of Joseph that you introduced me to. I was actually talking to him today, and this guy, it's hilarious because I'm sure you've seen it too. So Joseph just finished his new gallery build, the actual build, and he was showing me a couple things. He's got these white walls with really nice lighting shining down, and all these empty shelves, and it's pretty good size square footage room, and it goes in a couple different rooms, and then they're blank. And he's like, yeah, Mike, I mean, I've been moving, and I've had these things, a lot of these things for years, and I haven't opened them. And he's into the Marvel and Back to the Future and all these Blade Runner. And he hasn't opened it. He showed me a couple of pictures of all these boxes. When I get my box, I'm in it. And he's got, I mean, it's going to be like Christmas for a month when this guy starts to open it.
See, with me, I have to hold myself back because
your videos,
the recent couple years, I'll usually do an unboxing video like for my YouTube channel. So I always wait because I have to set everything up, or if I have something to do. But so I just got this a couple days ago.
Yeah, that's actually how I met you, Gabe. I mean, how I found out you, because I would watch you unbox some of these items that I was interested in. What is? Oh, look at that!
A couple days ago, and it's been sitting here, and I haven't even opened it to look at it myself. I probably should, just in case it's broken or something. But I've been waiting so I can do the review.
So is that a 1/1 scale head?
Yeah, it's actually not even it's just his mask.
His mask.
Which actually, I appreciated more because Sideshow Collectibles made a full bust where it's, it's all sculpted and it looks realistic. You could see his eyes, but this is just the mask. It's like the shell. So it's kind of cool because it's like almost like a weapon. It's not really, it's a helmet, instead of a bust. So
I wonder how, if it's going to be easy to display in one of your helmet displays.
Yeah, I'm probably going to stick them in the helmet display at one point.
Yeah.
That's my next video probably this weekend that I'll do.
So do you find yourself, because you're known for prop replicas, right? And which is fantastic. Are you seeing yourself spreading out a little bit in other genres? Obviously what we're doing, talking Star Wars, but when it comes to your collecting, are you looking at prints, or are you looking at
funny, you know what? Because I know myself, right? I know myself well enough to know that like once I start a collection, like I'm just gonna get into it, and I just gotta have everything of I start piling up the stuff, right? So right now I'm like the replica stuff is kind of slowing down. I'm really picky about what comes into the room, so I can't just be without collecting. That's just not how I am, besides all the like little vintage stuff, I recently got into these. I started buying pins because they're just cheap and they're easy to like.
Are those what are those Star Wars pins?
Yeah, there are some of them Star Wars
and whatnot.
Little things like.
Yeah, I like it.
Look at this one. It opens up and then it has like the figures inside.
Oh, that's awesome.
I mean, they're cool.
Where do you find stuff like that?
So I discovered this whole community of pin traders, and all these they're custom made. Like these people make them themselves, make a small amount, and then put them out to the public. But on Instagram, I just stumbled upon someone that was selling a pin one day. I was like, that's a really cool pin, but it's not official. Like it's not a licensed pin.
Yeah.
And I started following them, and then I found another collector and another person. And all of a sudden I just found this whole community of pin traders.
Kind of like 501st does that a lot. They've got their own little names and their little
pins.
Yeah.
So I just recently started getting into that, just to kind of.
Looks like you got to do it pretty good. That looks like a pretty full little deal. Is that hey? So those 3 little different Vader cases, are those different figures? Or are they the same?
Yeah. It's the first one is A New Hope one.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Let me see if I can. So
yes, when I was walking around at Celebration, I don't remember how I would acquire these, but if you went to certain booths, you could get these little pins. So and that's so cool. Look at that.
New Hope. So you could kind of see the New Hope figures, and then
that's awesome.
The next one has like the Empire Strikes Back figures.
Look at that.
You see like the Bespin Leia.
Yeah, very, very cool.
And then the last one has the Return of the Jedi ones.
Any Power of the Force ones in there? Or no. Look at that.
You know what? I have to
hang on.
No, it looks like it's just the.
Put it up there again. Let me look. I know other people can see it too, but hang on.
Because even the R2D2 I thought was, but it looks like it's just the.
It looks like the droids R2 and 3PO, but it's hard to tell in the picture.
Yeah, it's hard to I don't think so. I think
that's really cool though how they did that. It's so tiny, right?
Yeah, and it just, I mean, they're not expensive. I mean, they can get, once they sell out, people start looking for them. But
yeah. I remember at Celebration, those little pins I was just telling you about.
Yeah,
coming up to me and asking, do I want to sell them? And I was like, sure. I didn't even really care to sell them, but I remember giving them to a guy that he's like, I'll give you $25 for it. And I'm like, because I was like, well, what's going on? Made me want to know why are you going to give me $25? So that's cool.
Yeah, maybe we'll find someone to come on and talk about pins, because there's some people that have like crazy amount of pins.
Yeah, that's cool. And see, cuts so much cheaper in it. I'll tell you what, when you were talking about those, like the few little GI Joe figures, and it's like, man, if I could have just been happy with my 12 figures, you know what I mean? And but dang, you know what I mean?
We can't.
I know. So have you told your wife that you're going to have to move everything out of the living room to expand your gallery, or have you not told her yet?
We've been talking about that. I'm like, man, like it's starting to close in here. I'm gonna need to do something, man.
Well,
But
hopefully, Gabe, hopefully you and I, what we want to do, not just talk stars. Hopefully, we can inspire so many collectors out there that, you know, it's such a happy thing. It's just with everything going on in our world right now. It's really rough times out there. And man, look at what Star Wars does for you and me and all the people watching us right now. I'm just, one thing I'd like to say to George Lucas is, George, thank you so much for what you've done for all of us. I'm sure he looks at a lot of us like, y'all need to get a life, but we have a life, and it's Star Wars, and we wouldn't have it if it wasn't for you, George. And I'm sorry that I jumped your fence at Skywalker Ranch. And thanks for not pressing charges on me on that.
if you guys don't know that story, go to Michael's channel and check out that story. It's a good.
Yeah. I got arrested at Skywalker Ranch. What can I say? And it was way before Fanboys was even known. So
yeah. So yeah. So Michael, we're at the hour right now.
Okay.
I mean, I know we could keep on talking and talking.
Yeah, we always do, right?
Stop. But we should probably cap it off, at least for this first one. For the next one, we'll go as far as we need to. But I think it was important for people to get to know us a little bit because again, look, your collection is amazing, and I know you haven't put it out there as much,
right.
But as people start seeing the collection, they got to know the person behind the collection, and why, like, because I think that's a big misconception, right? You get a lot of people that are like, oh, just some guys with some money that they're just trying to, and it's not. It's definitely not. I think that's why me and you connect, because though we have our collection displayed, but like we appreciate all collection. It's not there's no such thing as my collection is better than yours, your collection is better than mine. Like it's
exactly. And you can't be scorned for being successful either. There's a lot of successful out there collectors, and there's some that aren't so successful that they still put their whole paycheck into it, and God bless them.
I would envy someone that would have like their original figures more than like what I have, because those mean more to them than these mean to me, so again, I think that's where we want this channel to go, right? Where we appreciate all collectors, all collections. We want to hear about everyone's backstories. We want to hear about what got you into collecting, what made you love Star Wars, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And also, all the viewers out there, we have a few topics. Obviously, we're going to be talking about Star Wars, but I'd like people to chime in on what they want to see on our show, when it comes to Star Wars, and we'll do what we can, because we've been pretty overwhelmed, as you know, Gabe, with comments even before the show even started, and what we're going to be discussing and whatnot. And I do what I can, and I know you should do, Gabe, to get back to these people and questions that they might have. And
not only that, me and you had you more than me, but had a rough week or so now. So
and I hope you're feeling better too. I know you had a personal issue.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
God bless you for being on the show, brother. But hey, Gabe, I'm so excited about this new venture between me and you, and all the people that are going to join in with us. It's not just me and you; it's all of us, right? And I really, really look forward to the shows ahead, and talking Star Wars, brother.
Yep, I can't wait. So, guys, everybody, our next episode, we should have a very, very important guest.
Educational for certain topics, of course. Not every show is going to be for every person, but it's going to be hitting all type of collectors and whatnot. So for sure, like I said earlier, please chime in on, if there's something that you want to see, and we'll show it. I don't have a problem with that at all.
So guys, make sure you guys subscribe, share this channel, let people know. If you know of somebody that, wants to come on and teach us about a certain topic, or wants to talk about, let us know. We'll make the arrangements, but we definitely would love to have you guys on.
We're not snobs. Bring them on. So.
Yep. All right, Michael.
No problem. Listen, so now it was, living on Hoth, everything melted. So I'm kind of living on Dagobah now. So I'm gonna do what I can to thaw out over here, man, and I look forward to our next show, brother.
Well, good, man. I'm glad. I'm glad. You know, everything's working out because yeah, it was pretty rough, right? Those
Oh yeah,
days with the snow over there. It's
yeah, it's tough.
yeah. All right, guys. Well, then we will see you next week, right?
Yep.
Same time, same channel.
Look forward to it. Gabe, thanks so much for your evening, brother.
For everybody that joined us live, thank you. For everyone that's watching us after, make sure you subscribe. And every Saturday, normally it's going to be 7 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Central, 10 p.m. Eastern.
Correct. Sounds
All
good.
right. Thank you.
Great night, buddy. Talk soon.
See you.
I look forward to it.